What does a pioneering missionary, the island of Tasmania, and Qantas Airlines have in common? It might sound surprising, but these stories are intertwined in unexpected ways. Let's take a journey into the past and see how these pieces come together. Today, travellers sail in comfort across the Bass Strait on the Spirit of Tasmania. But in the late 19th century, the journey was far from easy, not just for Hudson Taylor, but for many missionaries. Taylor's first voyage to China in 1866 was long and perilous, yet he considered it a necessary risk to answer his calling, bringing the gospel to China. Missionaries like him endured months at sea, facing cramped conditions, treacherous waters, and often harsh weather. This journey, with its dangers and discomforts, was emblematic of the sacrifices made by many who ventured to far-flung regions to spread their faith.
Then these new workers move on to our different fields, to Japan, Formosa, the Philippines, to Thailand, Malaya, and Indonesia.
For them, the arduous travel was part of the calling, as they sought to bring hope to unreached people across the globe.
They go forth to a spiritual warfare where victories are costly in sacrifice. Within 15 months of their arrival, 2 of these were stricken with polio. How much they need to be covered by prayer.
Among those inspired by Hudson Taylor was Mary Read, a young woman from Launceston. She became Tasmania's first missionary to China in 1888. Born into a wealthy and prominent family, Mary Read enjoyed a rare level of independence for a woman of her time. Mary Read's father, Henry Read, was a prominent businessman and influential member of Mission Church in Launceston, Tasmania. We're at the Gateway Baptist Museum in Launceston, the former site of Mission Church, where Mary's father, Reverend Thomas Read, served as a prominent clergyman. This church is steeped in history, preserving the legacy of the 1890s missionary movement. It was here that Hudson Taylor's visit in 1890 inspired many to take up the call to serve in China. Mary Read committed herself to supporting missionary work, and on January 26, 1888, she set sail from England to begin her service with the China Inland Mission.
At last we are again on land, and can it be? That land is China. Yes, we are in China. You can imagine better than I can express to you my feelings on landing in this vast empire. What is in store for me here in China? A veil hides the future. I am glad I can safely leave it as you have left me to the tender care of a loving father.
The cost to send a missionary was £60 per person. Mary notes,
"It may interest the reader to know that the sum of £60 covers all the expenses of one missionary in inland China. Food is cheap. In places I could buy 6 eggs for a penny and a pound of meat for 2 pennies.
Dressing in local attire was an important part of missionary work for many early CIM workers.
Living as far as possible in native style and making oneself as nearly as can be one of the people, adopting the native dress, expenses are lessened, and the missionary is enabled to live happily without stint or extravagance."
Mary journeyed to remote areas of China where the message of Christ had rarely been heard. Her mission was filled with challenges, from illness and isolation to the complexities of adapting to a foreign culture.
About a fortnight ago, Miss McKee and I went on to Antong. Although only 20 miles, I was surprised to find that our journey took us the whole day. It was very hot riding in the middle of the day on the flat barrows, but it refreshed us to be able to tell of the living water to the dear country folk who gathered round us every time we stopped to rest.
Despite the immense difficulties faced by the early CIM missionaries, their faith and commitment to spreading the gospel remained unwavering, and Mary's work exemplified the perseverance needed to overcome such trials.
They came in crowds from their work in the fields and listened, invariably with rapt attention, as Miss McKee told them of the great Saviour's love. One woman, after listening eagerly for a long time, just as we were going away, asked us how she could pray to the true God. So we taught her a little prayer, which she said she would pray every day. She had never heard of Jesus before, and yet seemed to grasp the truth then and there.
Mary Read's return to Launceston in 1889 came at a significant moment in the development of CIM Australian missionary efforts. In 1890, the China Inland Mission, CIM, established its first Australian council in Melbourne, a city that had become a central hub for Christian missions. The council's primary goal was to coordinate and support the sending of workers to the unreached regions of China.
As there was no officially appointed council of the China Inland Mission in the colonies, it was impossible for candidates to go out otherwise than via England. This was unsatisfactory.
This initiative was strongly encouraged by Hudson Taylor, who sent a cablegram on May 21st, 1890, urging the formation of the council.
The Reverend Hudson Taylor was communicated with, and he authorised by telegram the formation of an Australasian Council of the China Inland Mission in Melbourne.
The very next day, the council met and officially invited Hudson Taylor to visit Australia, marking a pivotal step in mobilising Australian support for the growing missionary efforts in China.
A letter was received shortly afterwards from Mr. Taylor, intimating his intention of visiting the colonies, and in September 1890 we had the great joy of welcoming him to Melbourne, accompanied by Mr. H.M. Beauchamp and Mr. Whitehouse.
Hudson Taylor's visit would become instrumental in uniting the local Christian community and strengthening the foundations for CIM's work, sparking a new wave of missionary enthusiasm.
We go to Tasmania on Monday for a week. In Tasmania, we hope to hold meetings in Hobart and Launceston.
On Monday, September 13th, 1890, Hudson Taylor arrived in Tasmania. He travelled to Launceston and Hobart, meeting with local churches to share the vision of reaching China's unreached with the gospel. One memorable moment of his visit took place at Cataract Gorge, where Taylor addressed a crowd, sharing his deep conviction to spread the gospel across China's vast interior. Standing against the backdrop of Tasmania's natural beauty, Taylor spoke with urgency. His words resonated deeply, sparking the hearts of many.
Behold, I say unto you, lift up your eyes and look on the fields, for they are white already to harvest.
His words resonated deeply, sparking the hearts of many. Mary Read went on to join the first group of missionaries sent by the China Inland Mission in Australia. On November 12, 1890, they set sail from Sydney. However, due to ill health, she was eventually forced to return from China to Australia. Upon her return, Mary married William Fish, a businessman from Tasmania. The family's legacy took a surprising turn when their son, Hudson Fish, went on to co-found Qantas Airways, one of Australia's most iconic and successful companies. Despite her health struggles, Mary's faith and dedication to mission work had a lasting impact, shaping both her family and Australian history. Over the next 30 years, around 36 missionaries would be sent from Australia to China, Mary notes.
Our Australian missionaries are now scattered over many parts of China, many of whom face perilous journeys and often made the ultimate sacrifice for their faith.
The seeds planted by Hudson Taylor in Tasmania and nurtured by missionaries like Mary Read have borne fruit for over a century. From Taylor's visit to Launceston to the ongoing work of missions in China, the legacy of these early pioneers continues to resonate in the lives of countless individuals. Their dedication remains a powerful reminder of the lasting impact of their faith and commitment.